Are you looking for a 4K pan-tilt camera? And were you a little upset that you missed Reolink's 16th year anniversary sales pricing? Well, you're in luck, because Reolink, for Prime Day, is bringing back some of their 16th anniversary pricing. And that includes the Reolink Argus PT Ultra. So if you're looking for information about general specs, audio, video quality, and how the application handles, you're in the right place. I'm Wanderer001. Let's get into it. To start the review off, Reolink did reach out to me and provide me with the wireless security system for the purposes of doing this review. They don't get a say into the content of the video. So to start things off, we're going to be looking at the cameras, because generally that's what you're going to look for first. Keep in mind the information that I'm going to give you for the Argus PT Ultra here can be looked at as standalone information, as this camera is sold separately from the wireless security system. Starting off, you are looking at a camera that is 4.8 inches in height and has a width of 3.9 inches. If we work our way to the front of the camera, right here we can see that is our speaker system right up there. And then coming down, we have two 1.2 watt 850 nanometer IR lights, which are visible, not terrible, but they do light up quite a ways out. Coming down from that, we have a set of two 2.4 watt 6500 Kelvin temperature LED light nodes. So that's going to be how you see color, because these are going to project out light, giving you that color. Coming down, we have a ambient light sensor as well as a status light on the front. Just under that, we have our PIR sensor. This is going to be a heat-based motion sensor. Because this is a battery-powered camera, this is going to alert you if there's movement that has heat. Vehicles, people, animals, things of that nature. It is good up to about 33 feet from the camera itself. And then just below that, that's going to be your microphone. Coming back up to our camera lens here, you are looking at a 1/2.7 CMOS sensor that gives you a video resolution of 3840 by 2160. That's going to be your 4K video. It's very crisp, very detailed. I greatly appreciate the video that you get from this camera. The field of view from our camera is 90 degrees horizontal with 47 degrees vertical and has a 110 degree diagonal. However, this is a pan tilt camera, so you're not limited to just the field of view that you get from your lens. You have a 355 degree pan and a 140 degree tilt. So tilt would be up and down. So you could practically look at what's behind the camera, depending on how and where you have this mounted. The pan tilt option also gives you the ability to have one guard position set up and up to 32 preset positions, which will allow you to move to pre-designated areas much snappier than having to use the actual on-screen pan tilt controls. They're not terrible, but if you have 32 preset positions, I'd rather use those. The frames per second that you will get from video from this is 15 frames a second, whether that is day or night using the IR or LED lights. If we spin our camera ball head up, this is actually where our microSD card slot is located, as well as our reset pin. Now, the microSD card slot is not used in this particular application because we're using the home hub. However, if you're looking at this as a standalone camera, can accept up to a 128 gigabyte card. And I do like the nice thick channel that we have with the rubber gasket. And one, you can get in here to open things up, or you have a little tab over there on the side to make it much easier to access. If we come around to the back of the camera, well, one, we have our antenna, which is adjustable, allowing us to kind of give this its best chance of picking up our home's Wi-Fi signal. Up here at the top, we have our USB-C charging port, or for the included in this kit solar panel. It has, again, a nice deep rubberized channel and a nice easy to grip tab out of there. We also have down here a power button. Again, if we look at that channel, it is nicely sectioned out and will keep water off of that. We have an on-off switch there. That on-off switch is very helpful because right now, if this did not have an on-off switch, it would be going off continuously in my hand as I'm showing you this. So if you're taking this down for long-term storage purposes, you can turn things off to keep it inside your house and not get notified of what's going on. Coming to the top of our camera, You've got our mounting hole here. This will allow you to mount this camera in 3 separate ways, which is really unique, but we'll see most of the mounting solutions once we check out the other things that we get in the box. The camera itself operates both on the 2.4 gigahertz as well as the 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum, which is great because if you're using that 4K, you want to make sure that you get the most data to this as possible. And I did test this linked to the home base and was able to get 100 feet away, even on 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi spectrum. The operating temperature of this camera is between 14 to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. Got to survive most regions having that spread. It also is IP64 weather rated, and I, during my testing time, did have this rained on quite a bit, so I can assure you that water will not bother it. And in fact, because of the way that the housing is on this, depending on how you have your camera angled, water really doesn't collect on the lens. It kind of has this shroud blocking it, or will drip along the edges here and not stay on the lens. The camera also has an internal 21.6 watt-hour rechargeable battery. The camera itself is also compatible with smart home integrations such as Google Assistant and Alexa. This will be setup of the Reolink PT Ultra. You're going to come over to your Reolink application, select the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner, and it thinks my table is a QR code. But what we're going to do is we're going to come over to the Ultra, and then on the back, there's a power plug here. We're going to put that to the on position, flip things around. So there, it's booting up.
Welcome to Reolink. Please install Reolink app and scan the QR code on the camera.
And it's going to go through a bunch of these. This is the one thing with Reolink that I wish they didn't do, but there is a QR code on the top of this, which we're just going to scan really quick. There we go. I'm hoping that I don't have to hold the reset button, so we're going to try this. And we're going to connect it to the 5G network. I have to scan the QR code, which it just did.
Camera is connecting to your router. Please wait.
And I heard connecting to the router, or waiting to connect to the router.
Connection to the router succeeded. Welcome to Reolink. Connection to the router succeeded. Welcome to Reolink.
Device and hub are connected successfully, and it's starting the initialization of the camera. So the beauty of the Home Hub is it creates its own Wi-Fi network, so it helps to keep your Wi-Fi network a little less congested if you've got a bunch of cameras. So right now we're going to give it a name, and I'm giving it the very clever name of Reolink PT Ultra Cam 1. And it's giving you some information, which is don't point at frequently moving objects, don't point at strong sunlight, keep close to signal, and don't point at heat source or point at a mirror. All right, it says the device is added. So we've got a QR code that we can share. So I'll hit finish, and there we go. That is set up. The camera itself, the battery is a little low. It's only at 29%, but that was set up. Unboxing Reolink Argus PT Ultra. Quick start guide, 24-hour sticker, and a mounting guide sticker. Right up top, we have our one antenna. We have our mounting arm, mounting bracket disc, strap to strap it down, mounting hardware, including an Allen key, 3 anchors and 3 screws, and then a reset pin right there, and a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. We have Reolink Argus PT Ultra, and that's everything we get in the box. One of the things that is included with the security system, and I neglected to show you as part of the unboxing, is the Reolink Solar Panel 2, which gives up to 6 watts of power and works pretty much even in overcast skies. 10 minutes of good sun can keep your camera charged up for daily use. In fact, I have a Reolink Solar Panel 2 situated for most of my testing with Reolink cameras, and I could say it has held up very well. Has a rubberized texture up front here. It is 7 inches wide and just under 8.5 inches in length. It also comes with a very, and I mean very generous length of cable, as well as a USB-C style end here, which if we bring this into focus, has little rivets here to help increase its waterproofness when plugging it in. There are also a large number of mounting accoutrements that come with it. However, I wanted to show you the mounting arm. This is actually metal and is long. So if you place this under an eaves, you'll be able to actually still use your solar panel because this is long enough to get past most house eaves. Good on your Reolink for thinking ahead. This is the application for the Reolink Argus PT Ultra. This was part of a set and is currently nesting under my Reolink Home Hub. But just know, if you had a separate camera, it would live out by itself like this, but its information would look very similar. Before we even click into the camera itself, we have access to its PIR sensor, turning it on and off. We have access to its settings menu right from there. And then we can also see previously, before I messed with it, but this one, it will let you know if it's in standby mode, as well as what the battery level is and if the solar panel is connected. To access your camera, simply select the camera and that will bring you into a live feed. Coming across the top, we have our alarm sound. Selecting this will allow you to trigger the exterior alarm. To the right of that, we have our flashlight or torch mode. It might be a little tricky to see now because it's actually still a little daylight out there, but Reolink gives you a little blue in front of the flashlight to let you know that it's actually on, which I really appreciate in case you do something like I did and you didn't notice. To the right of that, we have our grid. This will allow us to have multiple Reolink cameras up in one go. Now, this doorbell is offline at the moment, and this one is inside facing a wall, but you can see I can bring up 4 or even 9 at a time. And here it's trying to pull up all of my cameras. We can also access this simply by double tapping the camera in focus. To zoom in, you have to pinch to zoom rather than double tap. But here you can see that 4K quality right there. Double tapping when you're zoomed in will bring you back to your pulled out video feed. To the right of that, we have our settings. We're going to talk about that a little later. To the right of settings, we have our 3 dots. This will allow you to change day and night mode, change immersive mode, which if I do that, it just gets rid of all of our options here. And then we have picture-in-picture mode, which will allow me to look at the camera while I'm doing other things on my phone, which is always a great feature to have. Moving down, we have our play pause. So this is a battery powered camera, so you could select to play pause things to conserve power. Then we have our mute, so that'll turn off and on our audio. Then this will take a still image of whatever is currently in the field of view. To the right of that, we have our video recording. This will take a live feed of whatever happens to be out there. No animals moving through it at this time, but tapping it again will then save that to its shared location. I'll show you where that is a little later. To the right of that, we have our video quality. So high, medium, and low, even though they call it clear, balanced, and fluent. To the right of that, this will change the aspect ratio, and then we could shrink it back down simply by clicking there. Coming down to the bottom, we have our talk button. Selecting that, you do have to tap to talk, and now it's full duplex, so people outside are hearing exactly what I'm saying. So we're going to cancel that. To the right of that, we have clip. Notice here, this will allow you to select a specific area of your live feed, and we can make it bigger by pinching and zooming. And then you can select, take a picture, record, and then just this zoomed in portion, if you don't feel like pinching and zooming, this is another way that you can do things to make it a little easier, will be recorded and saved. We're going to get out of there. To the right of that, we have our PTZ controls. So this will allow you to move the camera up, down, left, and right. So if I move it to the right, if I move the frame down, you can see right there, you kind of see an animated lines letting you know that it's moving down. But there, that's the furthest it can go. It's not letting me know that that's the absolute end. So we're just going to move this back up, give you an idea of how that video looks, as well as responsiveness. To the right of our PTZ controls, we have our monitor points. If I select this as my current monitor point, if we were looking around, I can select this and it will say return. So if I come over here and we're going to move this over here, I'm going to select this and we could say return to motion point like this, which will have it go back to its centermost point. There you can see it says return to motion point. Right here you can see it has moved itself back to its center point. You can reset the motion point. Just make sure that the camera is where you want it to be. And then you have auto return to motion point. So after how long of you moving it around do you want it to return to its centermost point? To the right of that, we have preset points. If there are particular areas that you want to monitor. So if I wanted to monitor over this way. So there we have, we're over this way. I can say, this is going to be a preset point. I'm going to add it, give it a weird name and confirm. And now I have a preset point, which I can edit or delete. So if I come back here and I return to my motion point or my center point, I can then come back to my presets area, select my preset, and it will move there. To the right of that, we have our calibration. If I select calibrate, it is going to calibrate the PTZ camera, or it'll move it horizontally as well as vertically to make sure that everything is working correctly and moving freely, as you can see here. And when we're done with our PTZ controls, we can simply turn them off. To the right of our PTZ controls, we have our playback. This is going to be your dedicated timeline as to things that have happened. Now, in this case right now, it's just doing motion. That was motion. Here we've got animals. So if I select on one of these, it will bring up that clip. And I'm going to pause that. In the upper right-hand corner, we can change the speed of how quickly the playback for this is. It could be as low as 0.25 and as fast as 16 times. We also have the ability to select download in the upper right-hand corner. And one of the things that I really like about Reolink in particular is they allow you to adjust the clip size. So let's say this was a 3-minute video, but there's only an 8-second clip. Well, I can move these sizing handles around to get the clip to be the size that I want and then download it. So instead of having a 3-minute clip, I can just get that 3 to 8-second clip that I want. You also have the ability to play pause, mute and unmute, take a still snapshot from the video that's playing back, record the playback, change the playback resolution, and then change whether it's full screen mode or not. From here, you can see we do have a timeline which we can scrub through. This particular one doesn't have that many events. However, we have the ability to change how this looks. So we can either have a long timeline or have it stacked in cards. We also have the ability to change the storage. Right now it's storing to the home hub, but if I install an SD card on the camera itself, I can swap over to that and view those clips or send my stuff directly there. I also have the ability to change the date simply by coming here and then changing the date. Anything that's a white number lets you know that there's something there to be viewed. In this case, I have a person and a pet. But let's say I had a lot of clips and I didn't want to have to scrub through all of them. I can simply come down to the filter section and select what I want to see. Person, vehicle, pet, or other, which is pretty much just all movement. And that is our playback area. Coming back up to the top, this is our settings for the Reolink camera. Here we have the ability to change its name, and it lets us know how it's connected. In this case, it's connected over Wi-Fi to the home base. Selecting that will also show you more information about the camera, and if you wanted to manually update it, this is where you would do that. But there's a lot of sensitive information, so I won't be showing you. Moving down, we have our Wi-Fi network. This is the Wi-Fi network that's done by my Reolink Home Hub. Then we have our battery. Battery is currently showing at 100%, and then it shows you actual usage during the last 4 weeks. Coming down, we have display. Now, this is going to show you in a live view what's happening. So if I select flip vertically, you're going to see it flips vertically. Similarly, if I select flip horizontal, which some people might need to do, it'll flip the video horizontal. Coming down, we have our stream. This will allow us to make some changes to the actual playback of the video. So if I come in here to clear, I can change the frame rate, lower it down to 10 if I wanted to. I can change the maximum bit rate. So this is default, or I could set it for the absolute maximum that it can do. These are the levels of customization that Reolink gives you for their cameras. Anti-flicker, well, this isn't as useful for most, but if you take your camera from one country to another, generally LED lights flicker at a different hertz rate. That's how you can change that and adjust for that. Here we have our day-night mode. So we have auto right now. So as it gets darker, that will turn on automatically. I can select color, which means that it's going to turn the LEDs on so that I can see color at night, or I can select black and white always. I'm just going to put on auto and let that fix itself. Coming down, we have our brightness. So hypothetically, if this wasn't bright enough, I could come in here and select to make it brighter. Now, doing this will make my evening videos or my night videos look much better. However, it might wash out my daylight videos, but the ability to change this is great. Camera name, you can change its location from bottom, top, left, center, or hide it all together. Same thing for your date, top, center, left, hide. And then the Reolink watermark right there. You can turn that on and off. I like having it on because I like to know where my videos are coming from. Next, we have privacy mask. This is a great feature that if, for whatever reason, let's say right there, that's my neighbor's house, I don't want to see anything, I can save this. And what will now happen is in the live view, in all the recordings from this point forward, there'll be this black box. There's no way that you can see what's happening there. So Reolink is very privacy focused and give you lots of options to help with that. Next, we have our brightness and shadow. Currently, it's on auto for color day mode, black and white, and color night mode. If I turn this off, it gives me the ability to change the brightness, to change the shadows. And then if I ever screw something up too bad, I can restore the default, or you can be like me and just leave it in auto because Reolink does a very good job of giving you a balanced picture. Now that we've gone through all of our displays, let's move on to sounds. We have record audio. So if you live in an area where you're not allowed to record audio, This is how you can turn that off. And then you've got your sound test or the volume coming from this. You can adjust as you see fit. I generally leave it at its loudest because that's what it's set at. Next, we have light. We have our LED status light, on or off. So here you can see on, there's off. If you select off, it will not show your LED status light. We have our infrared lights. So I have this on auto. You can select stay off, and then you can adjust the intensity of the IR lights, which is something I haven't really seen for IR. I've seen it for your spotlight where you can adjust the intensity, but not for IR. So that's a great feature. Modes, right now I have it on night smart mode, but I can keep it off, which will keep the lights off, period. Night smart mode will turn them on when an event happens. Great way to help preserve battery, which I greatly appreciate. And that was all under our lights. If we move on, we have our PIR sensor. Currently it's on, and you can adjust the sensitivity. Also, if you're getting too many false positives, you can select this option up here, and it will change the way that your PIR sensor acts and help to lessen some of those false triggers that you're getting. Next, we have our detection alarm. We have non-detection zones. So if I select this, I can select a person, and then I can say if something, in this case, I can paint here, or I can paint all, or paint none, erase all, or I can do this and do erase and say this, kind of do an inverse, but we're going to erase. So if I don't want a person to be recorded or notified, I could do that and it would do so. You can also do for vehicle, animal, and other, and this is for non-detection zones, things that you don't want it to pick up. Motion mask, turn that on, it's going to put a box around a person, a pet, or a vehicle and let you know what it is as it follows them, making it easier for you to go and keep track of who that is or what that might be. We have our sensitivity. So I have Smart Detect, and this will allow you to adjust the sensitivity for individual types. Don't necessarily want cars, you can lower that so that it has to pretty much be right on top of the camera. For a person, maybe you want to increase that a little more to make it detect people better. Same thing with animals. Maybe I want really, really high animal. That's how I would do it. And then hit save. And then we can come back, and then we have our object size. This will allow us to pick the minimum object size and a maximum object size for a person, for a vehicle, for a pet. So what does that mean? Let's say for an animal, the maximum size I want this to be is something like that. So that's going to get me my foxes, my raccoons, cats, but not my deer. But what if I wanted minimum for a animal? Well, let's say I want to catch a rabbit or a squirrel. I'm going to say that's the minimum size that an animal should be before you detect it. And then if you don't want these, you could simply delete them as such. Or if you made changes and want to save it, just hit the save button. That was all under detection alarm. Now we're going to move on to camera recording. It is currently on, and then we can set up a schedule if we wanted to. So we can enable or disable, and then we have types. So what do we want? But if we wish to disable, simply select your chart, and then wherever you see blue, you can highlight in mass, select disable, it will turn them gray. You could select days of the week if you want. If I made any changes, I can hit save, or I can hit cancel if I don't want to save anything. Here we have pre-record duration. So right now it's set for 8 seconds, but you can go as far as 30 seconds. What that's going to do is, even before the PIR sensor senses something to record, it's going to have a pre-roll buffer that's constantly happening, allowing it to add to the video once the PIR sensor detects motion. This is going to eat up a little more of your battery, but it's a great option if you absolutely need to make sure that you catch 100% of whatever ran through camera. Next, we have our push notification. Well, right now I have that off, but if I toggle it on, we can have device notification ringtone. I can select, do I want it urgent, important, or general? I'm going to leave it as urgent. And then I can schedule, when do I want this to happen? Well, I'm going to leave it as is, because you could do just like before with the recordings, days, whether you want it or don't, and then move forward. And you could even test it if you want. Next, we have email alerts. Well, if I want notifications sent to my email instead of my phone, I could do that. We do have to set up an email address in order to use that particular feature. FTP, you can toggle that on or off, but it's letting you know that information that you send via the FTP will not be encrypted. But if you don't know what FTP is, don't play in here. Just know that if you want an FTP, you have it. Siren. Well, right now I have it off, but I can turn that on. I have siren sound, I have default sound, or I have other custom sound, which will allow me to make a recording. Hey, you get off my lawn, you shouldn't be here, which will then get sent to the camera. And that will now be the warning sound instead of siren sound. And now it's playing outside of the camera, and I'm going to hit apply. Hey, you get off my lawn, you shouldn't be here. We can also change the custom sound, which will have us re-record it if we wanted to, or we come back and select default. We also have the ability to have a pre-alarm, which I don't recommend unless you really want to keep people out of your yard, which will sound when people are detected or motion is detected. And you have the ability to do a sound test. So if you press that, it'll allow you to hear it, schedule, just like before with the recordings. We can come in and make a change to when the siren goes off. And because this is attached to our home hub, we can have a home hub siren. So here we have alarm, and it gives us a bunch of different options, which will actually play from the phone, which is nice. But that's your default sound. That was that. Scheduled, just like before. Types of detection, days, and whether you want it or not. Gotta turn that off because I have so many animals that walk through. Coming down, we have time lapse. In the upper right-hand corner of time lapse, if I select this is gonna be your gallery if you actually did any time lapses. But if I select try now, it has a bunch of presets that you can do. Moving clouds, sunrise, sunset, construction, blooming, and then customization. This is the key part, because you can set it to start capturing right now, how long you want it to run for. And right here, you could see hours, minutes, days, and then finish capture automatically. You can schedule, have a daily schedule for this. Since I set up a day, if I do it hours, you'll notice the schedule changes from schedule to interval. In this case, it'll take every 20 seconds. If I change this, we've got lots of options. Quality. Well, if you're going to do this, I would recommend doing the highest that you can do. And then file type. Always want to do video, not photo, unless you want a whole bunch of photos that you have to stitch together afterwards. And then you can hit start. Reolink is one of the few cameras that I've seen that actually offer you the time-lapse option. And it's just a really good thing to have because, well, there's a lot of cool video montage moments that you can do. Coming down, we have advance. This will allow you to reboot your camera. And if the camera was not attached to the home hub, we would have the ability to remove, reboot, and reset the camera under our settings here. But since it's part of the home hub, those options are on the home hub side of things. That has been everything that we can do for the Reolink Argus PT Ultra in the Reolink app. Let's talk about our camera. We want to hear what the audio sounds like, both from the camera itself as well as from the application. Let's take a listen. Alarm test. Custom siren sound.
Hey, you get off my lawn, you shouldn't be here. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
Argus PT Ultra. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 2, test 3, and test very little wind. As you heard, the audio from the camera itself is a little low when coming through that speaker. However, the alarm is fine. And from the application, the audio is clear and plenty loud. So I'm surprised with how the audio for speaking is from that speaker. But this is also a pan tilt camera, meaning there can be motor noise picked up as part of your audio. Let me show you my testing.
Pan tilt audio test. Testing camera audio at same time moving left and right to see if there's any noticeable sound coming through the audio, and that will end the test.
There we heard, while it is present, it's not terrible, all things considered, because, well, one, if you're going to be talking to somebody, chances are you're not moving the camera around. You're going to be doing that when you're locating something that you want to look at. Now that we've gotten our audio testing out of the way, what's next? Well, that's video. And all the video clips that I will be looking at have been transmitted from the Argus PT Ultra over to the Reolink Home Hub. However, the video clips would be the same even if they were directly saved to the camera itself. Starting off, in the daytime, you get clear and sharp images with great detail and good color with only a little washout in direct sunlight and no noticeable motion blur. Using the IR lights, things are lit up well at a good distance from the camera. Images are still crisp and clear, but moving objects start to show a little motion blur, but are still very usable in seeing what or who is moving through your camera's view. Using the LED lights to light things up for color night vision, switch over to the LED happens about mid-frame, so something wanders mid-target into frame. The lights are good at flooding a wide area with a light source. Some motion blur can be seen. However, the LED lights do cut down on the amount of motion blur compared to using just the IR lights. Colors are a little muted, but video is pretty good for a camera using LED lights at night. Next test for me, well, that is detection speed test, because this is a battery powered camera. I want to see how quickly the PIR sensor goes off and sends a notification to my phone. Let me show you what that was like. Testing the home base notification speed as well as camera that came with the home base kit. This will be on 5G, and right about here I'm in the camera's view, but we're waiting to see how quickly the PIR sensor picks me up. Right there. Not bad, about 5 seconds. Pretty good. All things considered, not bad. There is a lot to like about this wireless security system, but that does not mean that it is without its faults, and I want to bring a couple of shortcomings to your attention. First being with the camera, the Argus PT Ultra here does not actually support motion tracking. Now that could be changed in a firmware update in the future, but shipping out of the box without motion tracking on a pan-tilt camera seems like a bit of an oversight from Reolink, unless they're keeping that for some of their more higher-end pan-tilt cameras, which then I could understand. Next, again, with our camera, detection distance can vary depending on how you have your PIR sensor angled. So if you have it out really far, things in front of it might not get seen. And if you have it tilted down to catch things that are close to the camera, you might see something in the field of view up here, but it won't be detected because of the location and shape of the PIR sensor. The Argus PT Ultra is a good pan-tilt camera for those that would like to take a look around their property and cut down on the number of cameras needed to monitor their home. If this sounds like the security system you've been looking for, I will have a link where you can pick one up for yourself in the description area below, as well as separate links for the Argus PT Ultra and Home Hub. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making comprehensive videos like this, make sure to hit that like button to help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. Not sure this is the right security camera setup for you? On screen now, you'll see 2 other reviews that I've done to help you make a more informed decision for yourself.